Hello and welcome everybody in today's Tuesday show. Today we will be going through natural androgen reducing herbs. So I will go through a few of them today and I will explain to you why do we have high androgens and what we can do to fix it naturally. So let's go. So before we get into it, thank you very much for tuning in, whether you're watching live or whether you are tuning in on the replay. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you leave me a like, leave me a comment. Please let me know where you're coming from, where you're watching from. And if you have any questions at any point, please leave them in the comments. I would love to answer them. After last week, we had quite a good conversation, and I know that there were a few people who were supposed to tune in today, so fingers crossed, although I know it might be kind of a problematic time for America. But welcome here from Canary Islands, and as I said, today we are discussing androgen-reducing herbs. I on purpose say herbs because there are some other supplements that don't fall into this category. But we are going to be focusing on completely natural, of course, slightly processed, but not fully processed to just one component, right? So there are going to be 10 of them that we're going to be going through. 10, 6, 7, 8 of them, pardon me, that we are going to be going through. Before we start, why are we talking about androgen-reducing herbs? When we have PCOS, especially, very often we have high level of androgens. And we have few types of androgens. We have testosterone, we have DHT, which is converted testosterone, and we have also our adrenal androgens, which is DHEA and a couple more. So those are, let's say, two main categories. So testosterone and the converted one is one category, and our adrenal hormones, our adrenal androgens is the other category. And we're going to be going through supplements that can help with both of them. However, why do we need to even lower them? If you have PCOS, again, and you have either high DHEA or high testosterone, you might have quite bad side effects like hair loss, like hirsutism, so excessive hair growth. Hirsutism is very often on our chin, over our upper lip, on our belly, back, and bum sometimes. So in all the places, they're typically associated with male hair pattern, right? And then I think I said hair loss, hirsutism, and acne. And those are very, very common symptoms of PCOS, of insulin resistance, because insulin resistance actually causes very often our extra insulin to be converted, or actually to spark more production of testosterone in our bodies. I see that we have a few people tuning in, so make sure you say hi. I want to know who's watching, and make sure that you take notes or just save it for later for replay, because I'm going to be showing you a few things. Now, before we start, I want to tell you about one thing that is very, very important to this conversion and to our levels of testosterone, actually. So there is this one, there you go. There is this one enzyme that is actually called 5-alpha reductase. You don't have to remember it, but what you have to remember is that it converts free testosterone to DHT. And DHT is the thing. Thank you so much. We're loving my new haircut. Let's highlight the comment there. Thank you very much. So this enzyme is turning our free testosterone to DHT, which actually ends up causing all of our problems. So hirsutism, acne, hair loss, right? Hello from Manchester. We have someone from Manchester watching. That's awesome. My boyfriend's from Manchester, so that's super cool. So this enzyme coming back, I'm going to try to keep up with your comments as well as continue the talk. So this enzyme converts testosterone to DHT and gives us all the bad side effects. Now, this is very important before I start, because all of those supplements that we're going to be going through work a little bit different, and that is why it is super important to know how they work, because depending on your body and depending on what happens in your body, when you have high androgens, you might want to find the solution for you. If you know, for example, from blood tests, what types of androgen you have high, it's going to be a little easier for you if you had super comprehensive tests. Otherwise, it might take a little trial and error. So first thing that we're going to be going through is spearmint tea. So that is number one on our list. And spearmint tea is, of course, just a tea that you're going to be drinking. This is a specific type of tea. I think at least in Europe, the tea that we have the most commonly available is peppermint tea. And many people buy this tea and actually say that it doesn't work. So make sure that the tea that you're actually getting is spearmint tea. Now, you can get it on Amazon. If you're, for example, from US, you can get it from Amazon. In Europe, I know it's in many health stores and also Amazon, all of those types of things. Now, if you are going to be drinking spearmint tea, it is enough to drink 1 to 2 cups a day. So make sure that maybe you start for a little while, let's say for a week with 1 cup and then with 2 cups. Now, it is proven that spearmint tea actually lowers your free testosterone. So it basically just works on testosterone and lowers it. This is important because the next things I'm going to be going through work a little bit differently. So that is the simplest. 1 tea and it's going to lower your free testosterone. Perfect. Yeah, so that's that. Sorry, I have to double check. Make sure also that if you have possibility, you can grow your own spearmint tea, or you can get it organic, because of course we don't want any additional chemicals in our bodies. Now let's go to the thing number 2. And thing number 2 is going to be red reishi mushroom. Now, this is used both in women and men, because sometimes too high levels of testosterone in men, for example, can cause problems with prostate. So I know that it is used for that too. But for us, it actually lowers this enzyme that I mentioned to you before, that actually converts testosterone to DHT. So if you know that you don't have high levels of free testosterone, but actually this converted version, which is called DHT, red reishi mushroom might be great for you. However, if you have a person that just has a lot of free testosterone that is not converted to DHT, then it might not work for you. That's why it's super important to actually test it on yourself and know what's happening in your body. Now, thing number 3, it's going to be licorice. Now, I don't know how about you, and let me know in the comments, do you like licorice? I've been living in Sweden, no, I'm not in Sweden, I'm on Tenerife, but when I was living in Sweden for around 8 years, licorice was all the craze, I think in Germany as well. And licorice actually works, again, a little bit different because it has a lot of phytoestrogens. So it means that, like soy, it raises your estrogen levels. And if you have higher estrogen levels in the body, your testosterone levels go lower. And from what I understood, so don't quote me on that, but this is also the way how the pill works. So if you have high testosterone levels, if you have your acne, whatever symptoms that you might have, hair loss, hirsutism, when you're taking the pill, you are making your estrogen level higher, which then in turn makes your downgrades your production of testosterone. But it is a little bit, I want to say, counterproductive. Of course, if you like licorice, it's going to help and it's going to even it out a little bit, but it's kind of not working on a root cause. It kind of bumps up your estrogen. Not for everybody. Bumping up your estrogen is going to be a good thing. So keep that in mind if you're going to be thinking about going with licorice. Now, point number 4 is Chinese peony. And I actually think that someone asked me about it on the live last week. And for some reason, I forgot about it completely. But Chinese peony actually converts excess testosterone into estrogen. So it kind of works reverse to what licorice does, because licorice bumps up your estrogen and lowers down your testosterone. In a way, Chinese peony does that, but it just takes the excess testosterone and converts it to estrogen. So again, another thing that you could be using. Next thing is a little bit more controversial, I want to say, and it's called saw palmetto. Now, saw palmetto is actually great, and it's the second thing that I'm going to mention that actually stops conversion of testosterone to DHT. So what is going to be good for is alopecia and PCOS, and again, all the same high androgen symptoms. High testosterone symptoms, I should say, as well, in that case, because it lowers testosterone. And one disclaimer that I would like to say about saw palmetto is that if you are on the pill and you still have symptoms of, acne, hirsutism, hair loss, so all those 3, I'm going to be repeating them constantly. So if you still have symptoms of high androgens when you are on the pill, think about using saw palmetto, because it has been proven to make birth control not working properly, because it messes up your hormone levels, and it's quite a strong thing. So take that under consideration, that if you are on birth control, if you're taking it on top of that, to get extra protection from pregnancy, because that will not actually protect you anymore. This is very interesting, as well as I don't know if you guys know that, as well as antibiotics and an infection can actually also make the birth control work less. We're going to do a tiny break, because I want to show you. I'm also drinking, by the way, digestive herbs, love herbs, and this is my city in Poland that is called Łódź. So I'm just going to take a sip of my herbs, and we're going to go a little further. So again, saw palmetto, before I go further. Saw palmetto is quite controversial. And I don't know if you have watched and if you've heard about Tati Westbrook and her supplements. That was quite a big controversy about saw palmetto being included in one of her skin formulas. Because there was no disclaimer to women who were on birth control. And of course, someone picked up on it and made a huge big issue out of it. But it is a natural thing, and it does help the skin. So next thing is gonna be Chaste tree. Is it called Chaste tree? Can we have a number 6? Yes, and it is called Vitex. Most of you probably will know it by the name Vitex. And this is super controversial, because Vitex is super powerful. I think it's probably one of the most powerful herbs actually on the market for women. And the problem with Vitex is that, yes, I found in one place that it lowers this 5-alpha reductase enzyme, but it also works on the pituitary gland. So if you have high prolactin, for example, it will lower your prolactin, and it will actually, because of that, lower your testosterone, but raise your LH, so luteinizing hormone, and raise your progesterone. So if you have low levels of progesterone, this might be good for you. However, if you don't, it can do more harm than good. That is at least what I've read. And that was my experience with Vitex, because I have been taking it. And it's always hard to say, especially if you're on few supplements or there's something happening in your life, what actually causes certain things. But for me, for example, Vitex caused my periods to be super long, almost double as long as normal. So it is very, very important to know where you stand with your progesterone before you start going on Vitex, because this is, again, super, super powerful thing. Now, those things that I have mentioned so far were the things that work on your testosterone or DHT. Now, next thing, it's kind of a hybrid, and it is going to be number 7, and it's going to be green tea, and I put L-theanine on the side, because green tea works because of the component that it's in it, that is called L-theanine, I don't know how to pronounce it, and green tea as a whole has also a lot of other phytonutrients, and it lowers your testosterone because of them. However, L-theanine also works on your DHEA, and DHEA are your stress adrenal hormones. So if you are an anxious person, if you have anxiety connected to PCOS or not connected to PCOS or whatever, you can either choose to drink green tea, and that's going to help you, or you can choose the supplement of L-theanine. And I have tried it before, and I have tried it for anxiety. It has actually been prescribed to one of the members of my family in very stressful times as a natural alternative to proper medication. And it is nice and toning. I have to say that it's not like, I don't know if you've ever tried the herb or like sleepy teas like Melissa and stuff like that. They kind of knock you out a little bit, and Valeriana, they kind of knock you out and you just become very queasy and sleepy. However, L-theanine just tones you a little bit. So if you have problem with stress in your life, and you notice, for example, that your acne, your hair loss, your hair growth gets worse in the periods of stress, then green tea and L-theanine might be very, very good combination for you, because it's going to address both issues at the same time. And of course, drinking green tea is also very good, although it might have a little bit of caffeine in it. So it will be a little bit more how to say, adrenaline stimulating at the same time. So I'm all for a supplement of L-theanine. Let's go to list of our points actually. And that is going to be, there are going to be 3 supplements that I put in the same group. So it is Rhodiola, schisandra, and Ashwaganda. And those are adaptogenic herbs, and those work on your DHEAs. So they work on your stress levels and are very toning, very calming. If you have anxiety, those 3 are something that you might use. Now, before I go any further, I would like to say that if you are trying any new supplement, make sure that, I'm always preaching this, make sure that you're trying one at a time, and you try it for a fair amount of time. It's usually recommended to try something for 3 months before you can be sure that it actually worked or didn't work for you. So make sure that you try them for the fair amount of time. Myself, I did try Ashwaganda. I didn't see a huge change in it, but also it was the time when the stress was kind of disappeared from my life, and I started resting more. So I contribute more to a rest and good sleep than to anything else. Now, even though I don't want to focus about it too much, is that very often we have high testosterone and high androgen levels because of our insulin resistance. Now, I have the whole playlist about insulin resistance, so make sure that you tune in there and that you actually check this, because if you address your insulin resistance very often, your testosterone levels are leveling out automatically. So of course you can use the stuff like we discussed last week, so make sure that you check that video as well. So stuff like medication like metformin, which I don't recommend, maybe berberine or myoinositol, and stuff like that. And of course lifestyle adjustments are the most powerful. So if you're going to change your diet, if you're going to start moving, I have actually seen one video that have said that the best thing for insulin resistance, the best medication for insulin resistance is 10 minutes walk a day. So this is something that nobody wants to hear, because for everybody it's easier and more convenient to actually take a supplement than to do anything else. Now, I want to put all of those supplements on the screen for you. I'm going to take a sip. In the meantime, yeah, I was wondering if I'm going to be able to see it very well. Not really. It's not very plain background. I hope you can see it somehow. Let me try to fix that. There we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go. All right. So those are all of our supplements. I know I'm being silly. Let me know if you have any questions. And I can see that we had someone watching from Manchester. I can see a few of you watching, but you're super quiet. If you have any questions about supplements and generally lowering your androgens, so the stuff that cause acne, hair loss, hirsutism, naturally, then let me know. I want to tell you also that the thing that worked the best for me, apart from the pill, of course, the pill was great when I was taking it, but I said in my story, I think it was live when I was talking about exercise and PCOS, that I cannot be on the pill because I almost got a stroke. But apart from pill, the most powerful thing that I have ever done was going keto. I'm not keto at the minute. I haven't been for 3 months, but I might be going back to it because I noticed that I feel the best on keto, unfortunately. So we will see when am I going to be getting to it. Okay, less time to ask questions, everybody. If not, we are going to finish this live here. And if you are watching on the replay, please make sure that you leave me a comment on what you would like to see more of on this channel. Would you like me, for example, to do some cooking videos for some PCOS friendly foods? We have one question. Let's see. We put it up on the screen. Now, just so twinning spearmint and licorice tea bag sold at Tesco and Sainsbury's. Is it good to start out? Absolutely. I think it's very good. Make sure that if you check your ingredients, always check the ingredients on this kinds of teas. If the first 2 ingredients, or at least if substantial amount, will be spearmint and licorice, it's fantastic. Sometimes, unfortunately, they will put 90% of black tea and just put 2% of spearmint tea, 2% of licorice. So make sure that if it's the base of the tea, it should be really good to start with, and you can see if you see the difference, and if not, you can always try something different. I have found also when I was in Sweden, I found spearmint tea. Here in Spain, we have completely different kind of, I don't even know what it is. It's mentapoleo. So I don't know if it's a spearmint, but that should work. If not, in normal store, usually the mint that you have in the pot that you can buy, this is spearmint most often. They usually have a Latin name under, so you can always Google it and see if that is a spearmint in the actual, little pot that you can grow in your kitchen. You can take few leaves of that, put hot water over it, works great, or you can dry it, you can grow it yourself, etc. Okay, thank you very much, Amanda. Now we have another question. I've been taking Vitex and berberine. I'm worried about mixing the two. Do you think that's okay? It depends how you feel. I would say that in general, for some cases, it is going to be absolutely okay to take the two. However, as I said, berberine works directly, and it's quite strong, works directly on your insulin resistance. Vitex, if you're taking Vitex just to help with your testosterone problems, and you're taking berberine and you have insulin resistance, berberine should be enough. However, if berberine by itself wouldn't work, then I would take Vitex with it. I would say this: keep on going. How do I know if Vitex is okay for me? I see they're really good or really bad. Exactly, it was really bad for me. You will find how you feel with it. Track your cycle, super important. Maybe you have super irregular cycles. And this is the moment where I actually would try everything else before I tried Vitex. So if I were you when I have started, I know you're taking both of them at the minute. If I were you when I have started, I would have started with berberine because it's super powerful, but it takes a few months, of course, for it to get going. And then maybe you wouldn't need Vitex and everything would have regulated. It depends. If you have regular periods, you will be able to see like this whether Vitex is good or bad for you. If you don't, it can make things worse without you even knowing because you already don't have periods. Like for me, I had quite regular periods and I started taking Vitex and all of a sudden it was 62 days. So I was like, what did I do? I moved at the time. So I thought, okay, maybe it's that, maybe it's stress of moving, But I quit Vitex just to check, waited 3 months, everything get back to clockwork. So track your cycle. If your cycle isn't there at all, for example, because many women with PCOS have that problem, I would quit it for a while. If that was to me, again, I'm not a medical professional, so ask your doctor. But I would quit for a while and stick to berberine and see if I have any good results with berberine. But let me know, do you have insulin resistance? Do you have regular periods? And you have tested your free testosterone levels as well? Because that's super interesting. What was I going to say? I know that many people struggle actually finding, or what they think they're struggling with finding spearmint, but it is possible. Now, it's good to know also that twinings have it, so next time I'm in England, I'm going to pick it up as well. Thank you so much. Thank you yourself. Again, what I want to emphasize, what I said before, is that there is no one size fits all. So in the perfect world, we would be able to take one supplement, do super full, tests with our free testosterone, conversion to DHT, DHEA, insulin levels, fasted insulin, A1B factor, protein, to see our insulin levels through the last 3 months. All of those tests and more every time we take our supplement. However, it's super, super expensive. So the only thing that we can do if we want to take care of our own health is, if we have already information from a doctor, and if you already have some blood tests, we can already work with that. I know that, for example, in USA, a lot of naturopaths are doing quite comprehensive blood tests, which is actually very good to hear. Or we can try to observe our body and do it through trial and error. Good things about herbs as well is that majority of them will not hurt you. They can dysregulate, like Vitex, your period, but it's not going to be super rapid, and it's not going to be something super strong. Like, if you overdose metformin, you can go in a coma. But with herbs, that is not going to happen. So you can journal. It's almost like with the food. If you have insulin resistance, you can start noting stuff like, okay, when I ate that, this is how I felt. When I ate that, this is how I felt. When I ate that, I had sugar crush. When I ate that, I had bad tummy, and so on and so forth. And this is probably something that we should be doing as well. I want to recommend Flow, which is FLO. It's an app for tracking your periods. It's absolutely fantastic. If you buy a pro version, maybe should make a whole Magda, hello from Łódź, Poland. Oh, we have a representative of Łódź, Poland. There we have a Łódź cup. What was I saying? I lost my thread. God, it was important. What was I saying? Anybody tells me. Oh, regularish periods, but I discovered I was okay. So they were within 30 days, and one cycle was 50 days when I started acupuncture. Acupuncture shouldn't hurt you. At least from what I've heard. Again, I'm not an expert on acupuncture. When I was going on acupuncture, the only thing that it did was lowering my inflammation and stress levels. So that helped. However, I would almost say, sorry, let me just put it up again for a second. If you don't have ovulation, it will be super important to lower your insulin levels, and possibly, I have to read about it as well if anybody's doing that, because berberine works on insulin resistance, and very often we don't have ovulation because our ovaries are insulin resistant. So it will be super important for you to address your insulin resistance if you have it. Or if you even have low grade insulin resistance, because I have heard a theory, which I think it was so in my case, that it was one time that it didn't even show up in my tests. So something like inositol could be good, but research, and I might research it also, if berberine and inositol are okay together, because inositol also lowers your insulin levels, but it kind of works a little bit different. And check insulin resistance explained video that I have on my channel, because I also link there to a really cool animation that explains why myo and dichiro-inositol are actually recommended for PCOS. Okay, girls, do we have any other questions? If you want to share which actually symptoms you're struggling with, that would be great. I know that not everybody wants to share it. Me, as I said, I was quite lucky in the hair department. I have a few whiskers on my on my beard here, and that was it. So I didn't have it too bad, but I have had a horrible acne. And bad acne, not horrible, could be complete cystic acne, but I had a bad acne for over 10 years, and I fixed it with lifestyle, rest, and keto. And I see very well on myself that every time where I'm stressed, I have blemish every time before ovulation and every time before period. So in a major hormone shifts. And I think it is like that for many, many people. All right, girls, let me just take one last sip. Waiting for anything else to come through. I know it's hard to share this stuff on the internet. Don't worry. But let me know, please, if there is anything that you want me to make more videos of, and make sure that you follow me on my Instagram. I have been a little MIA because even though I'm talking very energetically, I had a little bit of stomach problems. Here you have my Instagram. So you can actually, okay, wait, we have one more comment. It did well for me. Acupuncture was the first cycle. I detected ovulation. That's great. I'll try your suggestions. I just want to try and make ovulation consistent and deal with hirsutism. Well, if you have hirsutism, it would be good to test whether you have high levels of DHEA or not, because if acupuncture helped you with ovulation, it might be that you have high levels of DHEA, which is stress hormones. And when you lower them, your both hirsutism can be better and your ovulation might start coming back, because high stress causes high cortisol. High cortisol higher our blood sugar levels. It's very complicated. It higher our blood sugar levels and makes us more insulin resistant. So sometimes doing stuff like acupuncture, apart from all the other stuff, even if it would be just relaxing for you, it already can cause cascade because it lowers your cortisol. That in terms doesn't aggravate, let's say, your insulin resistance, right? So your insulin goes down, your DHA goes down. So both symptoms of insulin resistance and high testosterone will go down. And so that's great. But yeah, follow me on Instagram, message me, DM me on Instagram if you need anything from me, if I can answer any of your questions. I love speaking to you guys in your DMs. It's absolutely fantastic. And that's it for today. I had super fun, as usual, talking to you. And we will be back again next Tuesday at 5 p.m. London time. So I'm going to set off, put my live a little bit earlier so you can set a reminder. And again, make sure you follow me on Instagram to also get notification. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next week. Bye.